What's up, people? Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 here, and welcome to the long-awaited episode number 2 of Linux History Shorties. For those who may not know what this series is, I have a episode 1 posted on my channel. Feel free to look at that when you have time. But I will summarize very quickly that what I do for this series is I take about 5 minutes or so in reading this lovely little article about a piece of Linux history. Whether that's the Linux kernel, which we're about to read right here, or a particular type of Linux distro, or anything Linux related that is on the wiki page here. So essentially, I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get to the history, shall we? The Linux kernel is a free and open source monolithic modular multitasking Unix-like operating system kernel. It was conceived and created in 1981 by Linus Torvalds for his i386 based PC, and it was soon adopted as the kernel for the GNU operating system, which was created as a free replacement for Unix. Since then, it has spawned a plethora of operating system distributions, commonly also called Linux. Linux is deployed on a wide variety of computer systems, such as embedded services, mobile devices, including the Android operating system, personal computers, servers, mainframes, and supercomputers. It can be tailored for specific architectures and for several usage scenarios using a family of simple commands that is without the need of manually editing its source code before compilation. Privileged users can also fine-tune kernel parameters at runtime. Most of the Linux kernel code is written using the GNU extensions of GCC to the standard C programming language, and with the use of architecture-specific instructions (ISA). This produces a highly optimized executable VM Linux with respect to the utilization of memory space and task execution times. Day-to-day development and discussions take place on the Linux kernel mailing list, LKML. Changes are tracked using the version control system Git, which was created by Torvalds as a bespoke replacement to Bitkeeper. Linux as a whole is released under the GNU General Public License version 2, but it also contains several files under other compatible licenses and an ad hoc exemption for user space API header files. So if we look down here, right here, in April 1991, Linus Torvalds, at the time a 20-year-old computer science student at the University of Helsinki, Finland, started working on some simple ideas for an operating system. He started with a task switcher, an Intel 8386 assembly language, and a terminal driver. On August 25th, 1991, Torvalds posted the following to comp.os.minix, a news group on Usenet. I'm doing a free operating system, just a hobby, won't be big and professional like GNU for 386, 486 AT clones. This has been brewing since April and is starting to get ready. I'd like any feedback on things people like or dislike in Minix, as my OS resembles it somewhat, as some physical layout of the filing system due to practical reasons. Among other things, I've currently ported Bash 1.1.08 and GCC 1.40, and things seem to work. This implies that I'll get something practical within a few months. Yes, it's free of any Linux code, and it has a multi-threaded FS. It is not. It is not protocol SIC. Uses 386 task switching, etc. Probably never will support anything other than AT hard disk as that's all I have. Well, pretty much how little he was wrong about that because over time the Linux kernel and the Linux operating system derivatives themselves, they just blew up, and basically we have in front of us what we have today. And I don't think none of this will be possible without Linus Torvalds' contributions, as well as the contributions of other people who had made Linux what it is today. So essentially, back to the article here. On September 17th, 1991, Torvalds prepared version 0.01 of Linux and put it on the ftp.funet.fi FTP server of the Finnish University and Research Network Funet. It was not even executable since its code still needed Minix for compilation and play. On October 5th, 1991, Torvalds announced the first official version of Linux, version 0.02. At this point, Linux was able to run Bash, GCC, and some other GNU utilities. And pretty much, as you all can see the article right here, a whole bunch of other things came to fruition as well. He would eventually adopt the GNU General Public License version 2. He would also essentially allow the kernel to run certain device drivers. And much later on, in version 0.95, Linux will be capable of running the X Windows system, which would be the basis for pretty much any or all of the desktop environments and window managers that we use today. So basically, in a nutshell, that is pretty much my time reading a bit on this article. I hope you enjoyed this second episode of Linux History Shorties as much as I did, and until next time, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! Master 88 saying see you later.